Good afternoon, and welcome to the John Knox Village monthly service of remembrance. Although we are unable to gather in person this month, advancements in technology give us the ability to record this on Zoom. Since this service is via Zoom, we are unable to go ahead and have a time of sharing, unfortunately, since this is being recorded, but you will be able to view this on YouTube. I hope that we are able to resume in-person services soon, and until then, we are fortunate to have this method of sharing and caring for this community. I would like to thank everyone who is responsible for making this service possible. I would like to thank our pianist, Mark Henschel, for his beautiful prelude and for the wonderful music that he provides for these services. I would like to thank Teddy Tenney for all his support in making this service Zoom ready. I would also like to thank Sonia Reynolds and Joanne Avis in Resident Relations for compiling the stories that we share at these services. I would also like to thank you, our residents and the families who tune in to these services. Your support of each other during difficult times is what makes John Knox Village more than just a leading continuing care retirement community, but makes it a family. The people that we honor here today, many of you have known for years and even decades. You have lived together, played together, and have helped to make this place, your place, a home. This service is an opportunity to honor and remember those that we have lost in the past month. It is an opportunity to begin for some and continue for others the grieving process. Loss and grief are a part of life. They are a part of life because life is constantly changing. In fact, the only constant in life is that things do change. It is how we handle those changes in our lives that help us survive and even thrive in our lives. That is why I feel these services are so important for this community, for this family. We lean on each other to help when these changes occur in our lives, and we keep each other standing when we are not able to stand on our own. I would now like to read for you a poem by Christina Rossetti entitled, Let Me Go. When I come to the end of the road, and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not for long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that once we shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all part of the master plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know. Laugh at all the things we used to do. Miss me, but let me go. And as is customary at many services of remembrance, I would like to read from the Old Testament. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. At this time, I would now like to invite John Knox Village's Spiritual Life Director, Rachel Gallagher, to the podium.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our service of remembrance. Today we are remembering several members of our community, and I would like to share with you some stories of those we are here to remember today. Mary Lou Adams. Mary Lou Adams, 87, of Pompano Beach, Florida, became our guardian angel on July 1st, 2021. Daughter of the late John Rankine and Ida Lau, of Youngstown, Ohio. Mary Lou leaves behind her husband Jack of 66 years, their children Jeff, Jennifer, Bob, and Amy, and their grandchildren AJ, Cassie, Megan, Kay, Mallory, Griffin, Bailey, Kate, and Emily, as well as nieces, nephews, and countless friends in Youngstown, Fort Lauderdale, Vero Beach, and Pompano Beach. A graduate of Boardman High School and Ohio State University, Mary Lou and Jack followed her brother Harry to Florida in 1956, where she practiced dental hygiene for over 40 years in the Fort Lauderdale area. As past president of the Florida Dental Hygiene Association, she took an active role in her profession. Mary Lou was active in the Pan-Hellenic Association as a Tri-Delta sister and remained close to her lifetime friends within the sorority. Mary Lou lived life to the fullest, always on the go, whether it was bridge with friends, lunch with the girls, shopping, or traveling the world with Jack. A doting grandmother, she was a dynamic character in each of their lives. While she will be missed terribly by all of us that she leaves behind, we are grateful to know that she has been reunited with her parents and much-loved siblings Harry and TJ, lifelong friends Ellen, Helen, Ruth, and Honey Lou. We are so thankful that we were blessed to have you as our mom and Nana. Forever in our hearts, we will miss your easy smile, hearty laugh, and Scrabble skills. Mary Lou Adams, rest in peace. Frank Askin. Frank Askin, Rutgers Law School professor for 50 years and longest-serving general counsel of the ACLU, died July 1st at the age of 89 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Frank Askin had hoped to be carried out of the law school, but finally retired in 2016 after 53 years at Rutgers, where he was a nationally known constitutional law expert. Upon his retirement, he was awarded the Rutgers Medal, and the clinical wing of the law school was named after him and his wife, Marilyn. Professor Askin entered Rutgers School of Law, Newark, in September 1963 as a student, after an earlier career as a journalist, and has been there ever since. He was appointed to the faculty upon his graduation with highest honors in 1966. Admitted to the law school without an undergraduate degree, he was awarded a BA from City College of New York at the same time he received his JD from Rutgers. In 1970, Professor Askin established the Constitutional Litigation Clinic as part of the law school's curriculum. He still is associated with that clinic, now known as the Constitutional Rights Clinic. Under his guidance, the clinic litigated the first police surveillance cases in the nation, battled the FBI over the investigation and maintenance of files of two precocious New Jersey high schoolers who corresponded with the wrong persons, defended affirmative action programs up to the U.S. Supreme Court, challenged the New Jersey State Police for stopping and searching long-haired travelers on the state's highways, argued for the right of the homeless to vote and to have access to public library facilities, and protected the right of grassroots advocacy groups to take their messages door to door and to privately owned shopping malls. Most recently, Professor Askin and his students have successfully extended the free speech provisions of the New Jersey Constitution to protect homeowners in privately run residential communities, making New Jersey the first state to provide such protection through litigation. Professor Askin was a member of the National Board of the American Civil Liberties Unions for 40 years and served for 36 years as one of ACLU's 4 general counsel, the longest-serving general counsel in ACLU history. In 1986, he was the Democratic candidate for Congress in New Jersey's 11th district, covering parts of Essex and Morris counties. Professor Askin was one of the featured writers on the Star Ledger's NewJerseyVoices.com. His memoir, Defending Rights, A Life in Law and Politics, was published in 1997 by Humanities Press. He's listed in Woodward and White's Best Lawyers in America. Frank and his wife Marilyn had 3 children, Andrea, Jonathan, and Daniel, and 2 grandsons, Jacob and Samuel. He also has a son, Steve, from a prior marriage, a retired union organizer, with 4 children, Joseph, Audrey, Sophia, and Isaac. Fred Askin, rest in peace. Donald Bacon. Donald Conrad Bacon, Don, formerly a resident of Chevy Chase, Maryland, living in Pompano Beach, Florida, passed quietly away in his sleep on Sunday, July 11th, 2021. He was 86 years old, born in 1935. He is survived by his college sweetheart and beloved wife of 64 years, Barbara, his daughter Elizabeth, his grandson Kevin, and his 3 great-grandchildren, James, Amelia, and Cohen. Don was predeceased by his 7-year-old daughter Jennifer and his grandson Scott. Don earned his journalism degree from the University of Florida in 1957, where he was editor-in-chief of the Florida Alligator. He was a notable writer and editor throughout his life, having begun his professional career as a uniquely selected young graduate by the Wall Street Journal, where he was a staff writer until 1961. Though humble and private about his accomplishments, Don's outstanding political and government writings include cover stories and reports for the Washington Star as a Washington, D.C. staff writer. He was also a journalist for Newhouse News Service in Washington, D.C. as a congressional correspondent, and then became a White House senior correspondent and columnist. He joined U.S. News and World Report in Washington, D.C. as an associate editor, then senior editor, and later assistant managing editor. He was senior editor of Nation's Business and became project director and co-editor of the Encyclopedia of the U.S. Congress, Washington, D.C. Donald's publications include The New Millionaires, Congress and You, Rayburn, a biography, and most recently, a biographical volume, Nicholas Longworth, the Aristocrat Speaker. Don received numerous awards and recognitions in his career, including the Loeb Award from the University of Connecticut, the Award for Excellence in Journalism from Lincoln University, Distinguished Alumnus Award from University of Florida College of Journalism. He was also president of the Fund of the Study of Congress. He was an elected member of Washington, D.C.'s Distinguished Cosmos Club and Columbia Country Club of Chevy Chase, Maryland. Don was a kind, gentle, absolutely brilliant man and scholar. He had an extraordinary knowledge of congressional history with the gift of bringing that history to vibrance and life. In addition to his exceptional career in political journalism, which he loved, Don was interested in just about everything. Don traveled extensively with his wife, Barbara, planning wondrous visits in tucked-away places around the world. An astute listener, he would often, not needlessly, comment. Yet being a skilled raconteur, Don would quickly capture a conversation with his trove of information and rich experience. Don was a quiet gentleman with an intellectual distinction and incisive wit that made being in his company both enthralling and fun. Don relished finding treasures. His favorite hobby was to poke around flea markets, yard sales, and thrift shops in search of the rare book or novelty, art piece or gem that seemed to be hidden from all eyes but his. He'd even choose broken, tossed-away items such as old clocks or cameras, then restore them himself or keep or sell later. The passing of Don Bacon is a loss that runs deep on countless levels, both privately and publicly. Together with the love of his family, Don's friendships were both long-lasting and personal, as is the compelling legacy of the innumerable articles and volumes he masterfully published. Donald Bacon, rest in peace. Laurel K. Blake. Laurel K. Blake was born on January 9, 1947 in Richfield, a suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and passed away on July 23, 2021. And this story was written by Laurel's husband. She was the only child of Edward and Harriet Moe. Laurel loved her parents dearly, and she was the apple of their eye throughout their lives. Since childhood, Laurel absolutely loved horses, and those feelings never left her. Laurel would put a doll on her dog Peach's back and trained him to run around the yard, jumping over small jumps that she had made, just like a real stadium Olympic jumper. Every time Peaches went over one of these small jumps, he would woof. Too cute. Peaches and Laurel loved to play their many horse games. Laurel was loved by her many friends in her neighborhood, high school, and college while in Minnesota. These friends have remained close even today. Laurel was touched by the great friendships and support these friends offered. Many came from Minnesota to visit her in Florida at John Knox. The continued friendship is a testimony to the bond Laurel created with people. After college at Minnesota School of Art, majoring in design, she moved to Rhode Island, where Laurel bought her first horse, Gigi. She eventually purchased Tasha, a large athletic thoroughbred horse. Laurel and Tasha became very accomplished at competitive trail riding, participating in many events with her many great equestrian friends in Rhode Island. Tasha was with Laurel for over 30 plus years. In moving to Florida, Laurel continued to ride horses and touch people's lives, creating so many significant associations. As Parkinson and other ailments impacted her health, she moved to John Knox Village May 15, 2017. But her ailments never kept her down. She would go to exercise classes, she would go to dances, she loved anything to do with Halloween. Laurel cherished all her many great friends and supporters at John Knox. She so loved talking and connecting with her best friend Betsy, her sister from another mother. I'm sure Betsy and Laurel will be speaking in heaven. I hope they do not keep us up. Laurel lived a very full life. She skied with her husband Brad and became an expert skier, able to handle the toughest slopes. She skied in Europe and most of the top spots in the US. Laurel was a runner who ran in many races and events, including the Falmouth Road Race on Cape Cod. She was an accomplished figure skater, a love she inherited from her father, who coached skating. Laurel collected carousel figures and other horse items. She and Brad had a great time going to carousel meetings and collecting carousel art. She would always win at Scrabble and Trivial Pursuit. Laurel was highly successful as a designer, with many of her designs still being sold today. She always wanted to be a designer, even as a child, and she completely fulfilled her childhood dreams. Laurel enjoyed going to church and was a true believer and loved her church friends. Incredibly special people are placed on this earth by God to show us how to be better people who make others' existence better. Laurel was chosen to be one of those people. Her spirit was unfaltering despite life's challenges. She always had the sweetest smile on her face and always looked for the good in people, not the bad. She saw the rainbow in a rainstorm, even if it was not there. She was a sweet, kind person who had a great love. She is still teaching me lessons today, even after death. I thought back in writing this how she never once complained and never felt sorry for herself. Every day she got up with a smile and helped enrich our lives. She made such a difference in my life and those around her. I know I was blessed with having Laurel as my wife for 40 years. Thank you so much, Laurel. Laurel K. Blake, rest in peace. Fred Chekanow. Fred Chekanow, aged 82, of Pompano Beach, Florida, passed away on Thursday, July 22nd, 2021. Fred was born April 21st, 1939. He is survived by his loving wife of 60 years, Gloria Schreiber Chekanow, and children Amy, Linda, and Mark. He was an office supply executive, reserve police officer in VA Gardens, Florida, and a security officer at Baptist Health of Florida, South Florida. They lived in Miami Beach, Florida, before moving to John Knox Village, August 31st, 2018. He enjoyed tennis and traveling. Fred Checkanow, rest in peace. Donald Collins. Donald Raymond Collins, Don, age 90, of Fort Lauderdale, passed away Monday, June 21st, 2021. He was preceded in death by his wife, Patricia E. Collins. He leaves behind his sister-in-law, Miss Lou McCure, nieces, nephews, and many devoted friends. Donald was born in Genoa, New York, on October 1st, 1930, the son of Raymond and Louise Collins. He grew up on a farm, and his father owned and operated an automobile repair shop. Donald soon began building car engines and learned how to operate everything with a motor. Donald was a graduate of Cornell University, earning his first degree in electrical engineering, and had served as a first lieutenant in the United States Army Signal Corps, assigned to an advanced in the newly formed Television Training Division for the entire U.S. Army. During this time, he met Patricia Carr, whom he married on March 13, 1956, his loving and devoted wife of 63 years. Following his discharge from the military, Donald began his career in the engineering department of ABC Television Network. Donald went on to design and build the first educational television station in New York City, as well as design and built the videotape production facility for Ampex. Later, Videotape Productions of New York was formed, where Donald served as vice president of engineering for 17 years. Following his years with Videotape Productions of New York, Donald was offered and accepted a position to sell a new line of television broadcast zoom lenses, which were developed by the Jose Schneider Optical Company of Germany. Donald's new company was offered exclusive rights to North America, and in time his business grew and prospered to a worldwide clientele and many new friends. Eventually, Donald would come to sell his business to enter into retirement with his wife, Patricia. They spent years traveling and cruising the rivers of Europe and China. They enjoyed yachting and many wonderful memories on their yacht, the Merrymakers. They truly loved their adventures and their many friends. Donald was an active member in many community organizations and generously supported Cornell University. He was honored to serve as Commodore of the Coral Ridge Yacht Club in 1995 and remained an active member of the Captain's Club. He was also a member of the Lauderdale Yacht Club, where he served as an active member of the Restless Weasels Club. Donald Collins, rest in peace. Eleanor Ellison. Eleanor Sullivan Ellison, 100, left this world on July 18, 2021. After raising 5 children with her husband, Edward, she worked at a Wall Street financial firm for several years, then moved to Fort Lauderdale more than 50 years ago. She was employed at Broward General Hospital for 18 years as a medical records technician and analyst. She was proud of her Irish heritage and visited relatives there after retirement. She is survived by her children Teresa, Edward, James, Thomas, and Margaret. Her husband, Edward, passed away in 1981. In the last 10 years of her life, she resided at John Knox Village, Pompano Beach. She was greatly loved and will be missed. Eleanor Ellison, rest in peace. Orla Englander. Orla Englander was born in Lehighton, Pennsylvania, to Floyd and Grace Smith, and passed away on July 18, 2021. She was married to Bernard Englander 10 years and had 4 children and 6 grandchildren. She was a sales manager before retiring and lived in Highland Beach, Florida, and Boca Raton for 5 years before joining the John Knox Village family September 5th, 2013. Orla enjoyed sewing, quilting, and needlework. Resident Pat Harrell had this to share about Orla. I moved to my villa in South Gardens at John Knox February 2015, and the first resident I met that day was Orla, my across-the-sidewalk neighbor. She looked at me and said, "Finally, somebody with some life." We became friends. She was a good neighbor. I always enjoyed sitting with her on her patio playing games, just visiting, or sharing happy hour, which she enjoyed daily. I was privileged to meet 3 of her children, and she was so proud of all of them and spoke of them often. Her happiest times were spent spending time with her family when she was able to travel or when they were able to visit. After she moved to Gardens West, I was able to visit with her until COVID, and no visiting was allowed. I surely missed our time together and know she is in good hands, as she had a very close relationship with the Lord. And resident Ann Archard had these words to share about Orla. Orla Englander was a great seamstress and made lap quilts for many of the people in our then health center. She was generous with her talents and also brought her lap quilts to chapel as a gift for those who wanted them, no charge. Just a wonderful gesture of kindness. I didn't know her personally, but was at chapel on those occasions and remember what a generous gift that was. Orla Englander, rest in peace. Joseph Joey Hamowitz. Joseph, or Joey from the Bronx, as he liked to be called, Hamowitz, was born on June 14, 1944. Joey was a fashion designer by trade and enjoyed sports, especially baseball, which he played until he was 50 years old. Joey had 2 children, Jennifer and Craig, and 6 grandchildren. Joey passed away on July 15, 2021. Joey Hamowitz, rest in peace. Marion Hill. Marion Hill, born December 4th, 1925, passed away on July 4th, 2021, in Lisle, New York. Marion Hill, rest in peace. Robert Bob Kauth, October 14th, 1933 to July 13th, 2021. It is with great sadness that we share the passing of Robert Bob Kauth on July 13th, 2021. Bob was born in Detroit, Michigan on October 14th, 1933 to Rudolph A. and Merle Swinton Kauth. Bob proudly served his country for 3 years in Korea and graduated from the University of Miami. After graduation, Bob married Jean Baumgartner and settled in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Later, Bob married Maggie Hamilton McTeague, and they were married for 38 years. Bob and Maggie enjoyed extensive, adventurous travel around the world. Each year, they would send a Christmas card with a picture of them at their travel destination of that year. They enjoyed their second home in Breckenridge, Colorado, where they skied and spent many summers. Bob worked as a stockbroker at I. DuPont. He was Broward County Deputy Administrator, executive at Waste Management, and director of the Bonnet House Museum and Gardens. Bob was a member of the Lauderdale Yacht Club for over 50 years. He moved to John Knox Village on April 7, 2014, where he lived the last 7 years. He enjoyed being a part of the Rotary Club, volunteering at the front desk, and reminiscing about working on the Florida Governor Claude Kirk campaign and the early days in Fort Lauderdale. Bob is survived by his 2 children, Allison and Cheryl, his stepchildren, Deborah, Julia, and Sarah, 8 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. He was preceded in death by his wife Maggie and his brother Charles. Bob was a loving husband, father, stepfather, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Bob was uncompromising in his honesty and integrity, a mentor to many, unlimited in the love and joy he gave to others, and above all, steadfast in his loyalty to America and devotion to his country, family, and friends. Bob Kauth, rest in peace. Rose Urbina. Resident Nancy Matthews had this to share about Rose. Our friend and neighbor, Rose Urbina, died peacefully in the woodlands at John Knox Village on July 15th. Rosina, her given name, was the only child born on April 3rd, 1922, to Emanuela and Salvatore Allegrezza, who immigrated from Sicily to Manhattan, New York. From her childhood, Rose showed a love for drawing that grew and expanded over the years to where painting was her life's passion. She had a deep awareness for her gift, nurturing and growing her talent for painting. It was her life's work. Rose was truly a remarkable woman. The family moved to Brooklyn, where they lived for many years. Rose was graduated from the City of Brooklyn's elementary school and with honors from Brooklyn's Girls High School, where she earned 7 Regents Honor Certificates from the Department of Fine Arts for excellent work in various art forms, ranging from design, costume illustration, Art 5, to Pottery 1. Rose was awarded a full-time scholarship to the Art School of the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. Now the first of several significant challenges threatened this young girl's deep passion for the arts, primarily her gift for painting. Her mother, now a widow, called up Rose to forego this precious dream of a 4-year scholarship to study art in its various forms. They needed money for rent and food. As mother wished, Rose went to work in the factory, making dresses and eventually designing them. 3 of Rose's high school teachers recognized Rose's talent and love for painting and dug into their own resources, together paying for Rose to attend Pratt's evening course in illustration for 4 years. After working long days in the factory, Rose went to evening classes 3 nights a week. Little is known of the next phase of Rose's journey, though money continued to be a concern. She spoke of going to Provincetown on Cape Cod for 3 summers, where she worked on the street, making quick portrait sketches of passerbys. In 1961, Rose married Eduardo Urbina, who worked for the New York City Transit authorities. The love shared between these two resembled a high school first romance, continuing until Ed's death. Rose continued painting throughout her married life, and when she and Ed moved to John Knox Village, Rose began painting a series picturing our magnificent waterfowl inhabiting Lake Maggie and Lake Foster. As her talent for portraits became known, Rose painted some of our residents as well as their pets. Many paintings are displayed in the woodlands. At the age of 98, Rose lived independently in Village Tower, managing her own affairs, walking throughout the village, even climbing the bus steps taking residents to Publix. When asked what words of wisdom she would leave behind, she said, "Be kind to animals and to each other. Have a wonderful life the way I did, loving nature, animals, and people." Resident Ann Archer had this to say about Rose. She was a soft-spoken, gentle woman of great talent, an artist who had painted beautiful pictures of the black-necked swans and did many of the residents' pets. She lost her husband years ago after coming to John Knox Village. She took in a cat that had been a pet of another resident and became a loving cat mom who adored her pet. She was special to many of us. Rose Urbina, rest in peace. Our pianist, Mark Henschel, will now offer a solo for your time of reflection. Our hope is that during this time, you are able to remember what each individual meant to you and meant to all of our lives.
Now it is our time to hear each loved one's name in final preparation for departure. As your loved one's name is mentioned and the sound of the piano is heard, may your heart receive comfort and your mind receive peace. Mary Lou Adams. Frank Askin. Donald Bacon. Laura K. Blake. Fred Checkenow. Donald Collins. Eleanor Ellison. Orla Englander. Joseph Joey Hamowitz. Marion Hill. Rob Bob Kauth. Rose Urbina. I would now like to share a closing from a few different faith traditions. From the Jewish tradition, a Jewish condolence etiquette during Shiva. May God comfort you among the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. From the Islamic tradition, an Islamic condolence etiquette. I pray the love of Allah enfolds you during your difficult times, and He helps you heal with the passage of time. From the Catholic and Christian traditions, a quote from St. Vincent de Paul. We must open our hearts so that they become responsive to the sufferings and miseries of our neighbor. We should pray to God to give us a true spirit of mercy, which is in truth the Spirit of God. To those who have lost loved ones, we share your loss. You remain in our prayers. They will not be forgotten.
Our pianist will now play a postlude. Please take this opportunity to bask in the love and friendship that you all shared and feel its healing powers. Thank you for joining us today. Shalom to all. Go in peace.